Hey, board gamers, BJ from Board Game Gumbo here, back with another episode of Gumbo Live. It's episode 63, season 4 of Gumbo Live. Gumbo Live is the #1 Facebook Live talk show dedicated to board gaming. Our special guest tonight, he's back, Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. He's got all the games, and he's going to be ready for us tonight. He's got a bunch to talk about. Gumbo Live is a proud member of Punchboard Media. Check out some of our other fine members like the State of Games podcast. You got TC, you got Daryl, you got Chris Kirkman. They've got a great podcast focusing on con travel, games play, design tips, and news from the world of gaming. And my favorite part, what really grinds their gears, Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table. Hit us up on social media tonight, on Twitter, at Board Game Gumbo, or at facebook.com/Board Game Gumbo, and we'll be looking for your questions in the chat. We rebroadcast the show on our YouTube channel, which is also at Board Game Gumbo out on YouTube. So if you miss it, you can always catch it there. We'll be looking for your questions out on Twitter or on Facebook tonight. Well, let's get to our guest. He's almost ready. That's Jeremy. Jeremy's had some camera troubles. Let's see if we can get him in on the show right now. We're gonna have we got a great show. We got a lot of games to talk about. There he is, no. Jeremy Jambalaya. We can see you just fine, man.
Okay, wonderful. Hey, how you doing, man? I'm happy to be back. I'm really excited to be here, man. I love coming on here.
You know it, man. The party people, as you always say.
Party people, how you doing?
They clamor for Jeremy to come back on. So
stay on brand.
I got Jambalaya Plays Games. Hey, just in case people don't know you, Jeremy, tell us a little bit. Quick pitch, elevator pitch. What is Jambalaya Plays Games?
So the whole idea behind Jambalaya Plays Games is I like all kinds of games. I just kind of picked a name that I thought was kind of corny, but it stuck, and that is kind of my taste. Like I like jambalaya, the food, but just kind of a mix of games. I like them all. It can be micro games, games that fit in your pocket, and I also like really heavy games. And I'm always expanding, and I like to cover everything. So that's why you kind of see me all over the place and not in just one place, if you do see me. So I'm kind of everywhere. And that's it. Yeah. That's kind of what I do. That's the way I'm going to be.
They can catch you on Board Game Revolution. You do some live playthroughs. Although I haven't seen you lately. What's up with that? You took a little holiday break?
I just talked to the head of BGR. We're going to bring it back. So we're coming back with a full roster of games. I have a ton to talk about. A full roster.
And then, of course, you do tons and tons of Kickstarters. I mean, that's one of the things you're known for. To me, solo games and Kickstarters, and of course, a general appetite for all kind of games. Yeah. But you've been doing the crowd surfing Lanyap thanks to a buddy of yours getting you on that show with the Dice Tower, right?
Yeah, thanks to Rob, man. Rob Geislinger. He's a really good hype man for me. And because of that, he is I'm in there, And of course, because I had vouchers, on both sides. So, yeah, it definitely helped, and it propelled me a lot. So I become more of a face and stuff. And I'm thankful for that. It's not necessarily something I was like, I need to be a face in the industry. But it definitely does help with coverage, all around. So people do kind of put a face, to the person and say, oh, I know who that guy is. So.
Hey, the Name Father's checking in. Steve O'Rourke says, welcome back, Jambalaya. It's always good to have Jeremy on the show. Great info, great energy.
Yeah. So I'm always excited to be here, man. You were one of the first people to actually invite me on, and, I'll forever be faithful and grateful.
Yep. Love having you on. So that Crowd Surfing Lanyap, that's every other Wednesdays. It's a live show, but you and I and Robert, and Jamie Stegmeyer, we do segments for it. And sometimes Gil Mello even does them, and Mark Streed. And it's a lot of fun putting together those things. I only do mine about once a month. You're getting a little bit more regular than I am.
Yeah, I have a lot to cover. And since I always have a lot of Kickstarters in my hands, I figure there's always something I can talk about. So
yeah, I like yours. You do 2 or 3 at one time. Most of the time, try to give a big spread. Mine it's kind of so focused. I'm looking for those small box games that give you a little bit of something extra, which I call Lanyap. I don't always find them, and so if I don't see anything I like, I'm not going to do a segment, right?
Yeah. Tom is real restrictive on time. So when I do those 2 or 3 of them, he's like, Jeremy, come on, man. So. When I saw him in person, he was like, man, come on, man, you're doing so much at once, and it's crazy. But, now the live show's changing. A lot of things are changing over there as far as their coverage this year. So I'm hopefully they keep me on and make me a part of it.
Oh, I'm excited about it. All right, BJ from Board Game Gumbo. I've got my guest Jambalaya Plays Games here, and we want to talk about some games, Jeremy. And the first one that I got excited about when I saw it on your list was this one right here, War of the Worlds.
Wow. Yeah, so this is I did the Kickstarter preview for this one on my YouTube page. It is by Gray Fox Games. Now, it was brought over by, I believe, like a Russian company. And what it is War of the Worlds. So 1953 movie, what is that, what is his name?
H.G. Wells.
H.G. Wells novel, and TC movie in 2004.
Right.
And what it is basically the aliens show up, you hear that sound, brr, and they just start vaporizing humans. Well, in this game, it does start off like that. You got a map of 16 different little areas, and it's in I believe in England. So you got this map, and the aliens are there on the map already, and they are starting to deploy. Yeah, at the top left corner right there, you got the UFO, and then you got the walker thing that's out there. All right, the tripod, and those are the humans. They're already spread out. They're just there, like in the middle of the street, right? And right. They can come in and they have like a kind of a tactical advantage, and they can just start vaporizing you. And you're trying to keep your 30 people alive, your 30 little blips, and then you're trying to give them 30 damage to win. And that's kind of how it moves back and forth. Now, the cool part about this game is it's asymmetric decks. So nobody has the same thing, and they don't even play the same. So for the humans, and this, Alex has warned me about this. I always tell them, like, it's like you're trying to build a front. So when you're buying cards from your deck, by the way, one cool thing you can do that's not normal in deck builders is like you can sacrifice a card and put it under the deck.
I love that. Then you can
throw one out. I love that. It's like just those little touches in deck builders is important. And then they have like multi-mute action cards, so they'll have like 2 or 3 options instead of 1 or 2. And then you got to scrap the card for the best option if you want. So you're building attacks, but what the humans are trying to do is get these forts up. So they have like these forts. They have artillery with those forts.
The landmines.
Yeah, they have landmines. They have an air balloon that they can put up so the UFOs can't come get them, because they can't hurt the UFO, but they can hit the tripod and cause damage. So that's important of how you deal with that, and you try to put them in a situation where they can't do enough damage. Now, the aliens, they have a little bit more of the movement, and they can just kind of start wiping people out. They have more status effects, too. So it seems like they have a tactical advantage in the beginning because they can just wipe. The UFO can move 2 spots, and it also can move on regions. So when the humans can get subs, like ships.
The ships.
And you can take those out, and when the humans get those out, man, it's great because you can actually start dishing out damage onto land, but the UFOs can just come and wipe them.
I know.
Yeah, it's rough to see that happen because it's like, oh man, I got all this, I got my deck together, I got these out here, and the UFOs just wipe you out.
You know how I sell this game? I always tell people that when you're the aliens, and it's a 2-player game that we've played a lot over here at the Gumbo, but the thanks to you and Alex with the putting it on our radar screen. But if you're the aliens, you're sitting there trying to wipe out all the Britons. Trying to wipe the aisle clean. If you're the British, your goal really is you can't really kill anybody. It's just to tick them off so much that you send them back to wherever they came from. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like you actually can play it where you can be aggressive in the beginning because they can't get rid of their building. So like the more they go away from them, they're exposed. So that's another thing. They're exposed and you can just attack their building. So it's like you have ways of like not just being defensive. You can be sort of offensive and like be pesky to the point where they have to leave.
I haven't won this game a lot, but one of the few times I did, I was aggressive out of the gate. Now I had the cards, but I started I was the humans, and I started just going on the offense on the top. Instead of sitting back and building my little thing, I created a wall kind of in the middle of Britain. And after that, I just started launching attacks. And the alien guy was having to, try to defend and move, and he's constantly chasing my tanks around. And then, of course, I get the Navy out, and now he's like, oh, great, I got the tanks and I got the Navy.
And that's the thing. It has such a good ramp up to it, and it just you feel like you're making tactical choices, and it's not like just, even if it is the risk of the cards, pull of the cards. That just means that you're gonna have to sacrifice some cards. You're like, okay, I gotta quit waiting. I gotta get my Navy out. I'm gonna have to sacrifice these 2 energy cards, and that's 3 cards out of my deck. But ultimately, I do want to get those things out. But for the aliens, you got to really use your effects to maximize, because you can use the gas that makes the artillery guys go away. Yep. You got the sound. You want to make it so humans can't be together. You want to separate them, so then you can just destroy them. And then once the tripods get that little extra boost in attack, like that 1 extra boost in attack power for the tripods, it's a wrap. Like you just start destroying your little bases, and And I just like that. Like it feels the way it's supposed to me. It feels thematic, and that's the best selling point I think for the game is that you are playing out what could happen both ways. And if the aliens wipe, it feels like the movie. And then if the humans charge back, feels like the
Sure,
movie. You know,
I know
like,
we're Jeremy. There you are.
I'm here.
Hey, sorry. The weather is below 60 degrees here in Louisiana, which freaks everybody out. In fact, we're going to hit 32 tonight, and it's like mass chaos out here. God. We're talking, of course, about War of the Worlds, the new wave. Has it been pretty easy to teach whenever you brought it to the table?
Yeah, it's very easy to teach because it is deck builder, you know, and it does have the familiar deck builder mechanics. You just need to know the strategy of what's going on. And I think once you do explain what it's doing, all you got to do is take the menus out and start moving cues around and say, hey, this is what this does, and this is what potentially you could do. But let people know that's potentially what you can do, because if you just tell the humans just to play defense, they may be losing out on the strategy. You know, if you tell the aliens just to go, hey, like do it like in the movie and just run them over, like you'd be telling them to do something that could lead to them losing very fast too. So yeah, you know, you just gotta, it's just easy to teach. It takes like 5 minutes maybe.
Here's what I've been impressed with this Kickstarter, by the way. So when I looked at the price point, it's right around 40 or 50 bucks. I couldn't believe what's going to be coming in the box, man. And then for another $15, you can even get the full scale map on neoprene.
Yeah.
I can't get over the price. Now it's a 2-player game, and maybe that's gonna, push some people away. Jeremy, this is one of the most thematic 2-player games that takes about an hour, maybe an hour 20 minutes that I've ever seen.
No, I'm serious. Like, I was actually blown away by this, but I think he knew that I liked War of the Worlds somehow, or something. I was into science fiction because, when he saw that, I perked up. I was like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I want to do it. So,
right.
War of the Worlds, yes.
Yeah. So, on the Gumbo, Bradley wrote the Kickstarter preview for it, and I didn't even know this. Bradley is a huge fan of War of the Worlds, and it's one of those science fiction novels he read growing up, and he was super excited. And he and I were talking about it after the game, and we're like, I can't get over how much theme this game brings in for about $40, $45.
Yeah, and I just, for people who are outside of that, it's kind of like when you see something like nostalgic, like Dinosaur Island, like Fireball Island. Like, I know you can be in touch with it or not in touch with it, but like this is different. This is like old book from back when 1950s movie. This is like not something to play around with. This is historic stuff, and it's done so well in a board game, in a very tight mechanical board game that's not, doesn't have like any silliness or gimmick to it. Mm-hmm. It's a strategy war game, and this might be your way of getting into a war game. I played a game called Lincoln that was a 2-player game.
Sure, I reviewed it,
and that right there. Like, I was like, I had no idea I love a war game this much. And it's a 2-player game, and it's a fantastic 2-player. It's a very intense 2-player game, and plays out just like plays out exactly the same. Like,
so kind of comparing. I did the review for Lincoln. Bradley did the review for War of the Worlds, and I just did a little chip in at the end of the War of the Worlds Kickstarter preview. And that's one of the things. It's funny that you mentioned that. I actually mentioned that. I kind of compared the two, and I like the theme of Lincoln better because I like Civil War. It was one of the things I studied in history. But man, I like the streamlined play in War of the Worlds better. I got to tell you, I liked War of the Worlds better.
Yes, and the funny thing is that Lincoln plays so well, and I'm not a history buff. But if you don't know your history, actually you gotta kind of watch it, because you actually do need to kind of know some of the turning point in your hand. So you got to prepare for that. You got to prepare for the change in your deck as that game goes along. That's just a fantastic game, low key. So
that is War of the Worlds, the new wave, out on Kickstarter right now. It's got the option, if you get in on the Kickstarter, you got the option. I showed those minis. You can get the Navy minis and the Army minis and all that stuff. It's a really good Kickstarter project. So I'm excited.
And they look good. They look good in prototype form. So I'm not going to ever doubt what they do over at Gray Fox. So it's a great production. Yeah.
PJ from More Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. And here's a little game that no one has heard of or talked about on social media for the last month and a half. How about Wingspan from Stonemeyer Games? You got a chance to play it?
Now, no, I have not. I've had a chance to play around with it. So, I mean, I know what it is. I've read the rule book several times. And I've kind of fussed around with it. Man, I have been very fortunate and blessed to have too many games to play, as always.
Sure.
And yeah, this is one of those ones where I got it. I was excited, and then like a whole bunch of stuff came in. And
I'll give you the quick rundown. You know the rules, but for the audience out there, Wingspan is an engine builder. Most people have said it kind of fits in between a Gizmos type of a game and a big, long 2.5-hour Terraforming Mars type of a game. I have had a fantastic time playing Wingspan. It's been very divisive, Jeremy, in our group. About half of the Gumbo people love it, and about the other half say nothing special. Maybe even some guys said total meh. They didn't get it. For me, though, it's right up my alley. It's got just a little tiny bit of player interaction when you have some of those bird cards that will steal stuff or attack things or do things whenever other people get benefits. It has an easy play time. Pretty breezy. It plays in about an hour and 15 minutes with 4 or 5 people. And the best thing about it is it just looks cool on the table. And one of the things I really like about it, probably my favorite mechanic on there, is the fact that you have to use your little 8-worker actions at the start. And at the end of each round, as you're doing the scoring, you got to take one of those and put it on the scoring track, causing you to have less actions each round. So as your engine gets wound up, the game actually doesn't get longer. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, what I found out, first of all, I don't like birds at all. Like if it's not like eagles and ospreys or like owls or something like that, like I'm not really big into it. But what I like about this game is, and it's a true testament to how I feel about games, regardless of theme, regardless of how pretty it looks, it's gameplay over everything. And one thing that I knew right away, just watching it being played, just kind of taking a look at everything, and just of course the reputation of whatever Stonemaier Games, just streamline gameplay. Like it's straight up made to be learned and played very quickly, and it does. Like I didn't have to reread the rule book. I didn't have to I'm doing it for my own, so I know what's going on when I get right up in there. But everything's so smooth, and it's laid out in front of you. It's a quality product, so the tactile feel is there. Like even the booklet, like everything is pleasing. It looks good, it feels good, and most importantly, it plays good. So it's like a total package. Now, this game does come down to cards. It really does come down to cards, and sometimes the cards can't be in your favor. I just actually had a conversation with someone today behind the scenes, which I can't talk about, but like they were talking about how the inconsistency of the cards can just completely ruin the experience because sometimes you just don't get the engine going, just doesn't go your way. And I said that's the thing with all card games. You kind of have to play with the hand you're dealt. It's just like always having a real bad, hand in spades. Like, okay, we're going board again.
Right.
You gotta work it. You gotta work it. And it does stink, but I think that's one of those things in board games where if everybody doesn't get to have their shining moment, especially in energy builders like that, it does really ruin the experience. And if you have that for too long or 2 times in a row, you may never want to play the game again.
Bradley had a comment, and I think he's right about one thing. If there was a negative for me in the game, and it's the only negative that I can really find, the eggs look awesome, but in reality, they're a little fiddly. You put them on your different cards, and then some of the cards have this tuck mechanic where you can tuck cards underneath the other cards, and you get a point for every bird you can put underneath there. So it's sort of like it's thematic in the sense that some birds can create flocks. And I don't remember all the names, but it's all the kind of birds that you see up in the sky making the big flocks. Those are the ones that want to collect other birds and make a big flock. And the problem with it is that when you're tucking these cards that have 4 or 5 eggs on top of them, the eggs, they kind of weeble wobble and you're moving things around. And it's not a big complaint for me, but it is an annoyance that I wish that they had thought through maybe a little different. I do agree on the tucking cards mechanic. That didn't do much for me. Plus, having to fiddle with the card piles for tucking was a bit of a pain. But he liked the game overall, and he liked the solo game. I would talk about Jeff, but Jeff was so mean to me last week about the rules. He's just piling on about me messing up rules. They're actually tracking me now, Jeff, on when I mess up rules in games. Oh man.
No!
You started, Jeff.
No.
All right. So when are you going to have a chance to play Wingspan?
So I've promised myself after the month of February that I will play all the games that I receive. I had a whole bunch of games I bought like right before Christmas. I did a massive trade-in, brought home some of those games, and then Stronghold and a couple other publishers were like, hey, cover these games, and yeah, man, I'm drowned. I'm drowned.
See, look, there's another comment there. Miklos says, so much hype, little light for me. I'm telling you, Jeremy, I've never seen a game that's so divisive. I think that's what happens, though, when there's a big, bright spotlight shining on a game. And typically that's Stonemeyer games, because Scythe is another one that is very divisive. People either really love it or they really hate it, you know? Right. So I can understand.
You know what? I'm sorry to cut you off, but no, that's actually the truth is that they don't. The Rodney Smith did a really good job of making this video about the hype and whatnot, and he has the same impressions that I do. Like, I don't say hype, like I get excited for a game, but I don't call it hype. Like, I'm not going to go all in on a game. I read a lot of rule books. I watch a lot of videos. I don't, even if I do have a game before it comes out, sometimes I let it come out, and I'll let the publisher know I'm not going to always be first on this. I want to see how people react to it, and then go back in and play it myself, and then respond to that, you know, and possibly be able to field some of the questions that go on with that. And that's kind of the point of my live show, to do that kind of stuff. Because a game like this, it is going to be divisive. It's new, and it's from an established publisher that's trying to introduce something that probably has a long game or long-term plans to it. And, you know, just like when we do like the Architects of the West Kingdom, a game that I think has a lot of little flaws in it, but immediately I go, this can be done with expansions, just like Raiders of the North Sea. It was just like, okay, give me an expansion because I see where this can go, you know, or with Wingspan, I know it feels like Terraforming Mars to a lot of people. Well, okay, but just give me expansion, like that kind of idea. It's like, okay, I get it. I want this and this. Hopefully that's an expansion, you know, like right away. Shards of Infinity was like that too. Okay, I love this game. Halfway through, give me expansion. You know, like,
boy, Wingspan. You talk about primed for expansions. I mean, you could go Birds of Europe, you could go Birds of Australia and New Zealand. I mean, God, there's so much they could do with this game. But I'm impressed. You know, this is her first published design. I know she had a PNP, but Elizabeth Hargraves, to me, knocked it out of the park. I do want to play it more. I don't think 3 times is enough to really decide. But what I like is that my first play was kind of okay, and then it's gotten better and better every play. I like engine builders already, and I like cool different mechanics. So I think Wingspan is a keeper. Unfortunately, my copy doesn't come in until March, so I keep having to borrow it from somebody else.
Yeah.
I missed on there. So Dan Cheston checking in. He says, I'll be getting my copy of Wingspan with the rest of the masses in March. I wonder what kind of component upgrades Jamie's got up his sleeves for this one. I'm already seeing them. Jeremy, people are posting them. Oscar Valero has he's offered you can upgrade all the birds and you can upgrade all the other stuff. So there's a lot of upgrades coming. Yeah,
this is like I said, I think this is going to be a big one. And he even had a live show talking about how he underestimated the popularity of it, and he did a really good job with a blog about that, about how we are in a weird market, like a nebulous time of trying to figure out how many to order. And like Kickstarters give you a better gauge of that, but not necessarily either. And you know, I know Isaac Childress dealt with that as far as well. Like, how many copies of Gloomhaven do I print? How many copies of Founders of Gloomhaven do I print? And then you print too many, you know, like, so it's a thing, man. It's like
so
like
hard to tell.
Baseball. It's inside baseball, but still, like, you know, it's a thing, man.
Steve O'Rourke says the print and play she did previously is being put out again by Button Shy. I didn't know that. So Tussie Mussy is going to get a reprint. You know, I'd like to see what she did, because this is such a good one.
Yeah, I'll just buy it. Like,
Kevin says, Bird Minis, someone call Seamon. Now, let's not get crazy.
Oh, no.
Jamie Stegmaier can do it himself. We've seen with Scythe, if he feels it with a game, he's going to put the stuff out.
You don't have clearance for those missiles, sir.
No, not at all. Jeff says, great thing about Wingspan can be enough depth for experienced gamers, but can be introduced to less experienced gamers. I have taught this to, you know, guys that have been playing games for a while, and I taught it to a couple of people that were just getting introduced to gaming. I think it's a game that's, you know, it's not a filler game, or it's not a gateway game per se, but it's maybe a gateway plus. It's that next level.
Right. But you know what the best part about that is that this is a game where the theme does bring in a lot more people. You know, like, it's a hobby that a lot of people love birds. And if they know, like, the fact that there's little touches, and that's the thing about Jamie Stegmaier, like I said, the tactile feel, like, I'm this board, the holding these pieces in my hand, and also like just the little facts about the birds. And that's enough for someone to pay attention to what you're doing. They're reading the script on the bottom of the cards, but before they get to the bottom of the cards, here we go again, I'm going inside. You're reading everything down the card, and there's still a fact there. So you will pay attention to what I'm saying when I'm trying to tell you to read the brown part and trigger that. And
it's true.
You know, really smart. And I know he thinks about all of that. So, yeah.
Good job there. BJ from Board Game Gumbo. My guest here on Gumbo Live is Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. From Jambalaya Plays Games. The next one I want to talk about, we don't get too jealous here in the Gumbo. We got plenty of games. We get good review games. There's always more than we could play. But Jeremy, a couple of the guys, we were on the group chat today, and we were a little jealous that you got this game and we have not seen it anywhere. I'm talking about Donning the Purple, man. Tell me about this game.
Oh my goodness! And this is, you know what? This is so you. You'll just love this game. Like, you'll love this game. Hey,
you know my address.
So, Roman, no, you're not getting this one. Believe me.
Let's make a deal.
This is like I said, I was stepping out of my lane. So you have this map. It's in the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire. This is actually during a time where I think like there was like 5 people fighting over this Roman area. So basically,
nice.
You're trying to protect these 25 provinces in 4 different regions. And what happens is you take on the roles of the kind of like the Senate. You take on the roles of the heir, and they have like these little action boards. You have the senator, you have the heir to the throne, and then you have the emperor. And the emperor has like a little extra card that they have attached to their board. And what you're doing is the emperor's job, and basically they are the one that's going to be chased after the whole game because they have the most input on the game, and they can score the most points if you allow them to live. Everybody has like these little action tokens, so they can take 2 or 3 actions. The emperor can take 3. And what they're trying to do is one, stop these troops from coming in and reaching the capital. So that's one part of the game. And the players can also do that too, to take these guys out, because it gives the people happiness. And the more happiness that's there, you cross a certain threshold, you score points. Another thing you got to worry about as the emperor is famine. So you roll this dice randomly, and one region will actually lose its food production. And there's different, each quadrant, like each region produces food every round. But what can happen is famine hits one of those places, and then all of a sudden you lose a big chunk of what food you have to produce, which means you have to worry about taxes every round. So all the places that are safe without troops on them that are trying to come into the capitals, they produce money to help you pay for the gaps within the within that. So then they gain more, so that can get you more happiness. And if you take those people out, you get more happiness. Now, what you do during the game is the other people is you're trying to place these monuments and buildings. And if you're in the Senate, you're trying to control the Senate so you can score more points as well. The cool thing about the different roles is that you are trying to take the emperor out. Okay, so you are trying to assassinate. You're trying to assassinate the emperor. You're trying to assassinate the other Senate guy, because the Senate guy controls how many buildings are built that round. So the first 4 buildings that you try to put out, like aqueducts to save the famine, the monuments that give you money. If there's more than 4, the Senate person can take one of the buildings and switch out the order of them, so they get their buildings built and push yours out. So they have a little bit of control. Yeah, they have a little bit of control. So they have a say in what goes on. And then there's one action where you can assassinate them. So that's where these plot cards come in. All right, so you have these plot cards, and you get a hand of them or whatnot. So they have different actions on them. But they also have this multi-use to them that gives you points. So you can attack back. So when somebody rolls a die and they try to attack you and assassinate you, you can play these cards for their points as well.
Okay.
Which is pretty neat. And then they also have just like little actions that you can do. You also have your own like little hidden agendas, so you can hit certain requirements for the game or whatever. And then you also have, there's just a lot of stuff going on here. During the round, in the middle of the round, no matter what, there are going to be 5 events that happen. They are random events, and they are ridiculous. They can affect everything going on that round, and they're terrible. They destroy. They make the troops move further, like just automatically. The troops already move. You can add more troops all of a sudden. They can add an extra famine. They can sabotage a building. Production shortage. They take some of the food away that you already have. They double the taxes. I mean, just random crazy stuff. And then you get to your actions. You're like, I got to deal with this. And that's the thing, is the emperor, you happen to fight off all this stuff. You have to, you're fighting off the famine. You're trying to get this money. And the cool part is that you can become emperor. The heir character naturally becomes the emperor. But if you pay, it's like 15 coins, you can take the emperor token and then assassinate him, or they run out of actions. They naturally die. And then you get the emperor piece to your board, and now you're the emperor. This game lasts over four years. They have like 8 little sections to it. Kind of the things I was explaining. I kind of jumbled them together, and it's just intense. And
how many players does it play?
It's 1 to 3 players, which is a very weird count.
1 to 3 players.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you really are playing these roles. You are playing very, very restricted type roles. And like here's the Emperor thing. You get it's like a side piece. You just kind of put it next to it. Sorry, put it like next to it like that. Kind of attach it to your board. Yeah, like that. I mean, it's just a very, very interesting game. When you play solo, you just play as the Emperor, and the Senate is against you. So it's like you're kind of fighting against these individuals. They grow their power really fast, and it's your job to do kind of the same thing, but these troops are going to keep coming and coming and coming, and it's only you that has to deal with them. So you could have like a good 15, 20 of them on there, and you got to figure out how to get all your little guys out there and start fighting them. It's very cutthroat, which represents the time,
Sure.
With very little research, my friend Liz, Beyond Solitaire, amazing content creator, that's like in her wheelhouse. And she was like, yeah, it was like around a time where Emperor died, and there was like 5 different provinces. They were just killing each other. It was crazy. Wow. It was a crazy time. And this represents it. Now, it's not completely historically accurate, but I mean, the game is just fun as all heck, man. I mean,
how does the theme? It sounds like it's pretty thematic?
Yes, it's just very thematic. I didn't even touch on these other things. There's like forum cards where you can get extra actions and different types of little cool, like money. They take away stamina away from the Emperor. There's just so many.
Who publishes this game?
It's called. I'm sorry about that. It's Tom Pet Games, and the designer is Peter Shanky Olsen, I believe. Peter Shanky Olsen, and I mean, man, I feel like this game is going to go under the radar, and it shouldn't. It's a fantastic game.
Yeah, and I want to give credit. Some of these pictures, I think, come from you and also from Moe's Gaming Table, who was nice enough to... Oh, that's the wrong one. Yep. Moe's Gaming Table. I think this is a shot from Moe's Gaming Table. I want to say thanks to Mo for letting us use this shot. Yeah. And does this help you kind of describe it a little bit more?
So the red pieces and the blue pieces, so the blue pieces are the ones that are going to be moving towards the capitals. And it's your job to kind of like use your red guys to go out there and combat them. You use them worth of power. Your pawn, your actual pawn, the players that are over there in that little green with the green and the stand-up pawns, they're worth 2 attack, and then you use your cards as well to kind of amplify your attack. You take them out, and then you move up the happiness chart. You roll a die, and you get some extra stuff. So there is a little bit of dice rolling, but it's very, very, very small. It's very small impact. The game is it's very, very interesting. I like it. I like it a ton.
I'm impressed. Is it out in retail, or is it something that's going to be kickstarted?
I thought it was supposed to be out like right now. I think because he told me, he said January. Can you talk about it in January? So I thought it was supposed to be like the last week in January. Sorry about that, guys. I thought it was supposed to be the last week in January, but it's probably coming out really soon.
Well, I got to find this game. Donning the Purple by Top Cat. Is that what you said? Top Cat Games?
Tom Cat.
T-O-M-T. Donning the Purple by Tom Cat Games. All right. BJ from More Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jambalaya Plays Games. Jeremy is talking all the games. And Jeremy, you and I have a mutual friend, Stephen Bonacore. He does a great job of promotion. He surprised us with a little appearance on the show last week. He's got a relationship with 2F Spiele. That's the Friedemann Fries. Friedemann Fries, the designer. That's his little publishing house. And in that house, he's got a whole line of games that Friedemann Fries designs. And one of those is a game you've been talking about a lot called Fine Sand. What is that all about?
Okay. So Fine Sand is basically a deck deconstruction game. So there's a couple games that are like that. We just talked about Lincoln a little bit, where you're basically trying to take down your deck to a certain point. You're wasting your deck a little bit or exhausting your deck in that game. In this game, you are actually, and if you don't know, I should probably preface this by saying, so Friedemann Fries is known for making these games called Fable games, where you play the game a certain way, and when the game ends, you add certain cards to your deck. It changes the gameplay experience as you move along because you're taking certain cards and sacrificing some and then adding some. But the games that he teaches are very simple. They teach you how to play the game quickly by just even reading a set of cards. Like you just go, hey, this is the card, this is the rule, go. And this one is no different. So it's got simple iconography. It's got like a little board right here. And the board actually just tells you what to do. It actually says, hey, pick up this amount of cards. Then you're going to take this action, which is either build or you're going to draw more cards. And then at the end here, you're going to discard down to 3 cards. Like it literally, the cards basically run that same story beat over and over again. But what happens during the game is you're going to start adding more cards with different abilities. What you're trying to do is basically buy cards and make them. There's some sand cards that you see in those pictures right there. Those are like your dummy cards. They're like hex cards in a deck builder. Like you're trying to get rid of those and get them out of your hand to get to the more juicy cards. And eventually what you're trying to do is get your deck to where you can't draw any more cards to get coins. And that's how you win the game. It's a simultaneous game, so everybody just does their round, and then we say, hey, we're ready, and then we're done. And the other part that's in there's yellow cards, and they're like little dump cards. And these dump cards make it so you can give cards to other players. So you can put them in front of you and go, I don't want this card. You put it face down. Once everyone has one of those cards in front of it or on it, it actually shifts to the other person. So there's a little bit of like, not take that, but like give that to somebody else. Like, so, one man's trash, another man's treasure kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Game plays in about 30 minutes, 45 minutes. I think anybody can play this game. Just like a lot of Freeman Freeze games, the first hand is literally like right there that teaches you the game. The first 7 cards are set up, goes right through the game. Like that's like, this is how you play the game. This card does this card does that, this card does that, go play.
Yeah, I played that Fear, that one he did Fear, that was kind of like that where it taught itself as you played the rules. But this seems a lot more
Fear and Flee and Fortress.
Fortress, right? But and Fortune. Yeah. This one seems a lot more in depth than those little box games.
And the cards get they get very complex. So now I played the solo campaign, which is, so if you're into the solo, it plays just because, like I said, it's simultaneous. You are straight up just playing by yourself, trying to beat your highest score, but not beat your highest score, not repeat the same score. So you got to do a kind of deceptive way, but also go up. So you got to get real efficient at how you get rid of your cards. How do you use your coin cards? And the desertion discard thing plays a little different in the solo mode. And that's pretty much it. You would get to all the cards in 10 games because you take out 3 cards, you add 3 cards in. Those are different powers and different things like that. It's probably his most complex design that I can tell you. Now, I'll be honest. I think the game's okay. And I played it about 6 or 7 times. And the cards do get real interesting. Don't get me wrong. Yes, they do. But you sort of are looking to play the same way. You sort of are. Because it just you want to draw as many cards as possible because you just kind of want to see all your cards. And each card is worth 1 coin outside of the coin cards, which are 2 or 3 or whatever.
Sure.
So you just know, like, hey, if I get 10 cards in my hand, I can almost do anything. So why don't I get those in there? And then you get like a -1 to build. So you want to get that card out there. You'll sacrifice your cards early. So it has that samey feel, but I feel like the reason why I'm on the fence and I don't want to like jump from the rooftops about it, I just feel like you got to be somewhat of a Freeman Freeze fan, and you also got to have people who are willing to, just add those cards in there and kind of go through the process so they appreciate the engine that's built out of this game. And I don't know if that's going to be for everybody. So even when I have my review, I just won't just say that like, hey, this is a great game. I was watching Rado and he was really excited, and I could tell he had played through the whole thing, probably with him and his wife. And they felt the whole experience. I felt the 7-game experience, but I didn't feel it with everybody. I sparingly played it in and out, and I even seeded some cards in a different deck just to see how people would react to it. And like they liked it, and I liked it too. It's just that like I felt some of the samey, I'm going towards the same things kind of thing. But that's probably just me because I'm really crappy at strategy. So.
What's the sweet spot? Is it 2-player, 3-player? What do you think of the sweet spot? 4 player.
And they all get their own little legacy deck they can go to. It's a really interesting game, man. It's very simplistic, and it teaches you how to play it. That's the best part. Like even as it gets more complex, you go back to the nice little play areas that's laid out. You know what cards are going in and how they work. It's very, very clean.
And that is Fine Sand, a Freedom and Freeze design published by our buddy Stephen Bonacore from Stronghold Games. All right.
Yeah.
Jeremy, you know that people in Louisiana, we're struggling right now. We had a tough time a week or two ago, right?
Yeah.
I need your help. I need you to lift up the spirits of the people of Louisiana right now. I've got a guest that's going to surprise us that's going to come on right now. Steve and I came up with something. You did the Jambalaya game last time. Instead of that, we want to do a different game with you. All right? We're calling it the Boudin Bowl or maybe the Boycott Bowl, whatever you want to call it, okay? But this is where you come in. My friend Verla, you know Verla from the Gateway and Filler games. Here she is coming in. Hello, Verla.
Hey, BJ. Hi, Jeremy.
Hopefully I can see you. There we go. There's Verla. All right.
Hi.
So, Jeremy, here's what we're going to do. Are you ready? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through 4 quarters. We're going to give you games. Me, Steve, and Verla are going to pick games in 4 different categories, and you're the ref. You gotta tell us if we score a touchdown, or we kick a field goal, or we don't get any points. So you're going to rank the 3 games. You got a touchdown, you got a field goal, or 0 points. Are you ready for that, Jeremy?
Go.
All right. So here's in the first quarter, and hopefully you're going to be a better ref than those 3 guys that were in that game a couple weeks ago.
Epic fail.
All right. Boudin Bowl, quarter 1, Verla versus BJ versus Steve O'Rourke. All right. So here we go. Yeah, I know, Dan. See, Dan's right. We got robbed. We know, Dan. Thanks. Appreciate it. The first one, and I think this is one that, Verla, you came up with the topic, right? Green eggs and ham games. Tell us what you were going for there.
So I was going for a game, it just kind of came to me. Green eggs and ham. I do not like it, Sam. I don't want to try it in any way, shape, or form. But then you finally try it and decide, hey, I actually really, really like this, and I'm glad I tried it.
That is a good. That's the description. Green eggs and ham game. So here we go. So I think we did a little roll. We did a roll off, and Verla won. So Verla's going to go with the first pick. Now listen up, Jeremy. You got to pick between these 3. Are you ready? All right, go, Verla. Tell us what you got.
Okay, I picked Great Western Trail. Is it on there? I played that for the first time. I had been at maybe my 3rd meetup group, and before that had just pretty much played a bunch of gateways. And came in, they had 1 spot left, and were like, hey, come join this game. And it was really, really intimidating. I thought, they're never going to want to play with me again. This looks really complicated. Cows? What? Well, okay, it's not zombies, so I'll give it a try. Took me 3/4 of the way before anything clicked, but I kept thinking about this game for the next week. Couldn't stop thinking about it. I was like, I have to play this again and learn it and try it and get good. And now it's in my top 5. I love it.
Yeah. Kevin likes it. And Jeremy, here's the thing: at halftime, the viewers, the chat crew, they're going to be voting to help us out too. So listen up. That's the first one. She says Great Western Trail. I was second, so I'm going to go with mine. Are you ready? And I'm ready. Totally, Verla, I am totally playing to the judges here because I knew Jeremy was going to be on this show.
No fair, because I didn't know how to play Jeremy.
Insider baseball. So I knew mine. I wanted to play War of the Worlds, the New Wave, and here's why. I wasn't a big fan of H.G. Wells growing up. I was more of that, Star Wars type of fantasy, or science fiction. And War of the Worlds wasn't one of my favorite books. I'm not a big fan of 2-player games. That's more my son who loves playing 2-player games. I'll play in Baseball Highlights 2045 in my top 10, but that's because I love the theme and I love the way it plays. And then I play War of the Worlds, and I've played it just a bunch of times, and I've loved it every time. It's kind of reignited my passion for maybe playing more two-player games. So that's my choice. War of the Worlds, the New Wave, which I know Jeremy likes a lot. So I'm just playing right to the crowd here. And for the third, Dan's throwing a flag on the play. That is fair. That is totally playing to the judges. All
Thanks, right. Dan. Appreciate it.
All right, Jeremy. So here's the third one, and this one's from Steve. Steve's choice is 7 Wonders, and I'm going to copy what he had to say about it, unless Steve's going to post it up. I'm not sure, but so we don't have to wait. He says 7 Wonders, all right? And this is what he said about it. Let's see if that works. Look, he beat me to it. So his was 7 Wonders. Steve says a tactical card drafting classic that he avoided because it was already old hat to others when I joined the hobby. thought it'd be dry and boring, but now it's one of my most played games. And he's right. We play it all the time with Kevin, Luke, and we've been playing with Eric Buscemi on BGA nonstop. So, Jeremy, you got 3 choices. Who scored the touchdown? Who got the field goal? And who got intercepted?
All right, man.
Oh, look, the votes are coming in.
Touchdown definitely goes to Great Western Trail.
Oh, man.
Field goal definitely goes to you, VJ. You hit me right in the heart. But I'm sorry, there is a game that is definitely better than Seven Wonders, and it is called Paper Tales.
Paper Tales.
So sorry,
Jeremy,
man.
I'll give you on the audible. That is a fantastic game. Bradley has it. He's got that in the expansion. I haven't tried the expansion yet, but man, Paper Tales is just fantastic.
Oh my goodness, the expansion takes it to another level, man. I'm so glad Stronghold got their hands on that game.
All right, Steve, keep track because the votes are coming in, and it looks like most of the votes are GWT, Great Western Trail. So Verla's leading in the crowd factor, and she's got the 7 points. All right, so on to quarter number 2. Verla's in the lead with 7. I've got 3, and Steve's got Kono-Yo. He's got 0. So this time we went backwards, so we're going to do a little snake draft, okay, Jeremy?
Okay.
And this one, I think, is this Verla? Is this Steve's category, the dice one, or did you come up with that one?
Yeah, wasn't mine.
So Steve came up with the next category, and it's a cool one, Jeremy. It's a game in which dice are central to the game, but it's not a roll and write. Not a roll and write.
Okay.
Oh wow, Bradley, that shocked me. Bradley says Seven Wonders is better than Paper Tales. Interesting. All right, so Steve, it's Steve's turn. So he's going to be posting up his one, I'm assuming, right? Steve, you'll be posting yours. You don't need me to post it. So again, think in terms of the category, right, Jeremy? Games in which dice are central, but not a roll and write. And I just remembered that I actually have pictures of all this stuff. So let me see if I can find that while you're doing that. While Steve is posting his up, let me get to my pictures. I forgot all about that. I have all the pictures of the games. All right. So while he's doing that, I'll post up his. Oh, and there's Steve. Steve's got the comment, and it's King of Tokyo. Steve says, one of the first games that brought our family into board games, Cartoon Monster Battle Yahtzee with big, chunky dice. All right. So, Jeremy, Steve's pick is King of Tokyo. My pick is a game which is actually my number 1 game of 2018, Coimbra.
Nice.
It's a Plan B game, Eggert Spiel game, and it's the fantastic designers, the pedigree of Lorenzo. If you've played that one, it's got that dice drafting mechanic that is just wicked because they do everything. They help with your turn order. They're your money. They're the way that you move up on the tracks. They're the way that you beat other people in trying to get cards. Oh man, it's just so juicy. All right, but what does Verla have to say? So we got King of Tokyo and Coimbra, and Verla says.
So my pick was Castles of Burgundy.
Why did you pick that one?
Why did I pick that one? So before I started going to a board game meetup, I had been doing a lot of online research, and that came up as a classic over and over. And it was one of the few games that I bought without having played it first. I took one look at the rule book and set it aside for months until I started going to game meetups. And somebody there, it was her favorite game. She wanted to teach it. Just like a round in, I was like, this is one of my favorite games ever. This is awesome. And that's also in my top 5 now.
Castles of Burgundy, Stefan Feld. Hey, can I go back to one of the comments, Jeremy? I missed this earlier. When you said that Steve got the interception, he said Tony Romo saw me playing that. I don't know if you follow him. Tony Romo has been picking the plays before they even happen. So that's a funny one. So hey, Bradley I'm playing a little bit to the crowd here. Bradley says Coimbra is the new Lorenzo, as close to a perfect Euro as I played. 2018 game of the year for us. He picked Feudum. I picked Coimbra. Who are you going with? Who's got the touchdown? Who's got the field goal? Who's got the interception?
Oh boy, this is gonna be crazy.
We're making it tough on you.
Touchdown goes to King of Tokyo.
What?
Yeah, touchdown goes to King of Tokyo. Love that. I love dice though, so it kind of has the same idea, that kind of stuff. And then I'm gonna go with, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to go with the field goal going to Verla with Castles of Burgundy, and an interception going to what I feel is I don't know. For some reason, it is against everything that I feel in my body. I do not like Coimbra at all.
Well,
it is the weirdest. You know what? And I played it. I played it 4 times, and every time I played, I was just like, "There's just something about this game that's not hitting me. It is not hitting me like everybody else." Yeah,
maybe
it just was not hitting me like everybody else. And the great designers, great pedigree, but I just felt like they were kind of doing what they did in the other games and just kind of added that little bit of that dice, that little extra thing that they can do with the dice. And I just didn't feel like it was that special. But Rogers for the Gajis, way better. Thank you. That would have been a great choice. That would have been a great choice. Role Player would have been a great choice. Yeah, there's a lot of good dicey games out here.
I haven't played this one. Dan suggested Cavern Tavern. Is that one you've played?
Yeah, Cavern Tavern's a decent one. Yeah, it's really dicey. It's really dicey.
Oh, I'm seeing Kevin's comment about Dice Forge. That was my other option for this run.
Oh, see, you would have been better off with that one. You would have been touchdown with that one.
We're going into halftime, and we've got Verla with 10, Steve with 7, and BJ in last place with his game of the year, Coimbra getting 0 in the second quarter. We got the same refs, folks. We got the same refs that we had in the Saints game, I think. Maybe we can change them out in the second half. So at halftime, if anybody has any votes on any of those games, make sure you start logging them in because Steve's trying to keep track of all the votes that we have on the comments just in case we have a tie, which could happen, but hopefully not given the system. All right. Quarter number 3, Jeremy. I didn't pick this category. I think this is a Steve category. Is that right, Verla, the travel?
I think it was kind of a combo of two things that we had thrown out there.
All right. So, why don't you tell Jeremy what the category is?
Okay. So the category is games that travel well. Small footprint, easily packed, that kind of thing.
You can bring them on a plane. You can bring them camping. You know, Jeremy, I know you like small box games just like I do.
Man, I got about 10 games on me in my backpack at all times.
I know you do. All right, so it's back to Verla. Verla's got the snake choice. She gets to go first. Apparently, Jeremy, the way the snake works, I never get a first pick. So you're going to have to hear either Verla or you're going to hear Steve every time. But go ahead, Verla. What you got?
Sorry, BJ.
Yeah,
I picked Deep Sea Adventure. It's awesome. I took it on a work trip overseas to Korea this summer, and it fit perfectly on a plane. As long as we remember to roll the dice in the box instead of letting them go flying down the aisle, which we had to recover one at one point. But I love that it goes up to 6 players. It's easy to teach. It goes fast. Everybody that I've ever played it with is just wanting more.
Yeah.
Good push your luck. It's really fun.
Yeah.
We're getting some votes out there. Hive, not a bad choice there. That's a really good choice there for a camping game. And yes, Kevin, I agree. I thought this would have been a breeze for me too, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Fantasy Realms, strong choice.
I have not played that one. I'm going to leave this comment up because I think Bradley's right. Coimbra would have been the vote. All right, let me get to my game though. So we got in quarter 3, we're going best travel game, small footprint, easily packed stuff you can go camping with. And I picked Jiraku, and here's where I'm going to pull some prestige on you here. I have actually camped in a tent and played Jiraku in 4 different states. We went on a trip this summer to Utah, and we played it in Colorado and Utah, and we played it in Arizona, just setting up around the picnic table outside of the tent with my Boy Scout troop. So I know this one works. I'm not saying it's your vote, but I know you can travel with Jiraku. Jiraku is from Tasty Minstrel Games. It's an awesome little area control game that fits in a box about this big, and the beauty of it is it's got this trick-taking element. That's how you put your samurai warriors out. You win this little trick-taking game, but the twist is that the categories start with big points on the right, and as you march to Kyoto, you got to keep moving your samurai to the left, giving up those points in the third round that are only 0, as the Kyoto is worth 15 points in the third round. So it's the combination of trying to score points early by winning tricks and also putting out warriors that aren't going to score points early, but it'll help you win the game at the end. So,
yes, I know. Really interesting game. Yeah.
Bradley says 7-1. Flow of History should have been the one, and he's probably right. I don't know why I didn't think of Flow of History. That's a great one. While we're waiting on Steve to post up, have you played Raku?
I have. I did the promotion through through Double Exposure or whatnot. Yeah, I think you should have went with Flow of History, but stay tuned.
Oh yeah, let's see. Yeah, I know, Flow of History. Now that I think about it, I probably should have picked it. Okay, here's Steve's choice, and Steve picked Sprawlopolis, a game I haven't played, but we had the designer on a couple of weeks ago, Steve Aramini, and it's a game I really want to play. He says, my pick was Sprawlopolis, thinky little wallet-sized 18-card puzzle of a game that can be played co-op or solo. That may have been my game of last year. All right, Jeremy, you got a tough choice. These are 3 good games, in my opinion.
No, this is not tough. This is not tough at all. So touchdown definitely with Sprawlopolis. Sprawlopolis is probably one of my in and out of my top 10 of games from last year. By far, it is one of the best traveling games. If you want a game to take with you anywhere, you should own this. Put it in your pocket, put it in your purse, take it with you everywhere. It's easy. It plays different every time. 18 different objectives. You can just kind of switch them in and out. It's a great game. $13 probably. I think the expansion has some cool little destruction things in it. Most definitely, it's such a smart little design. That was easy.
All right, I need some points here. What we got?
Nice, I gotta check it out.
The second one is Deep Sea Adventure. It's a really good like partyish game. It's like communication and choices. I like that kind of game. I only played it once, so yeah, it's a really good game. But I have played Racoon, and there's some really good ideas in there. It is actually a very smart design. It's a very smart design, but it was kind of a snooze fest for me.
Dang it! Oh, I thought I'd be playing to you.
You should have went with Flow of History, man. You would have.
Flow of History, would that have beat Sprawlopolis, or would it have been just a field goal for you?
I would have beat Sprawlopolis, but because I do like that game a lot too. I like Flow of History.
All right, it's the end of quarter 3, and I'm not doing so well. Verla is really being respective here. She's got 13 points. Steve's got 14. It's a barn burner. It's close. It's 14-13, and I still only have 3 points. All right, so we got one category left. Let's see what we got here. The last category, I think this is a category that, Verla, you picked. Isn't that right?
I did.
All right, tell us about the category for quarter 4. We're in quarter 4. Come on, Jeremy. This is important to me, man.
So the last category is games that spark joy and will never be on the giveaway pile after you tidy up. All the things that have been going around on Facebook about that lately was the inspiration. Yeah. So my pick was definitely Gizmos, which was pretty much my game of 2018. Absolutely love it. Total favorite. Everybody I play with, again, just wants to play that over and over and over again. Super fun engine builder. The artwork is amazing. It's really accessible, I think, to a lot of people. Maybe a little bit above Gateway, but newer people latch on pretty quickly. And it's just super, super fun. It's got marbles and cards and just that tactile feel. I love it.
Well, you got some love.
Never going away.
Yeah, you got some love for your 30 quarter pick from Bradley. He said Deep Sea Adventure, but Gizmos is a strong choice, I think. But let's see what Steve O'Rourke has to say. He picked Discworld Ankh-Morpork, one of his favorite games of all time. He says, it's a very personal choice. It's an out-of-print Martin Wallace game remade as Nancy Narking with all the incredible characters from the fantasy books my son and I read together and loved. I haven't played Discworld, Jeremy, but Bradley and I played Nancy Narking. I played it once. He, I think, already has 6 or 8 plays, and he's taught the game to 4 of the groups. At Gumbo Game Night 2 weeks ago, they played Nancy Narking 3 times back-to-back. I'm telling you, this game is good. And we're going to have a review on it soon. I don't know about the original game because I've never got to play it or if they've made a lot of changes, but I got to admit, Nancy Narking is good. But let me give you mine because hopefully I can score some points with mine. It's a game I don't know if you've played before, but it's one of the games that I've always loved. It's my favorite worker placement game. It's called New Bedford. It's got art from Nolan Nasser, fantastic art. Designed by I can't believe I'm drawing a blank on the design. What's the matter with me? Nat Levon from up in New England. It's published by Dice Hate Me Games. It's an awesome production. It's got it can play up to 5 people and it can play in roughly about an hour. So it's a great 1-hour wonder. One of the games that I really love, and it is New Bedford. Hopefully that's my Hail Mary. I'm going for the end zone. Let's see if I can score a touchdown. It's all up to you, Jeremy. We've got 3 choices. We've got New Bedford from me, and we've got Verla's. Oh, I forgot yours. Yours is
Gizmos.
Gizmos.
How do you forget, BJ?
Yeah, cool, man. Live show. It's a frenetic live show. So we got Gizmos from Verla, New Bedford from me, and Discworld from Steve, the name father. What do you say, Jeremy? What you got?
Well, I hate to say it, man. You're gonna have some issues here tonight. But Gizmos was my game of the year for most of the year until I played Chronicles of Crime. Gizmos is definitely getting a touchdown. It is.
Yeah.
My goodness, is that game fun? Like it doesn't stop the fun. Like it's just pleasing to play.
No. Perfect.
Every
I mean,
like, you can play it with a little kid, you can play it with everybody wants to play it. Like they just get it, and it is a Gateway Plus game, but it teaches you how to go to the Plus.
Yeah, which is really awesome.
Right. It just teaches you like, hey, this is how iconography works, and this is what you can potentially do. It teaches that part of a game. Oh boy.
All right, between ours, New Bedford or hey, Steve and I made it tough on you because we picked games that are personal to us.
I don't even know what to do right now. I'll tell you what. I'm still gonna go with the Antonio.
Oh my god! I want to thank Jeremy for his last appearance ever on Gumbo Live.
It sounded so interesting. And
I gotta admit,
you sold it.
Yeah, Nancy Narkening is a fantastic game, and you should try it. You should really try it. But New Bedford.
Here's the deal. Don't look like that. Don't give me that face. This is okay. I want to be clear. New Bedford is a really good worker placement game. It is a really good worker, and it's a good solo game too.
It is.
It is. It's a really good solo game. But you've made a really big fatal error in overselling something that I don't have, which makes me want it. And that's a problem. It's problematic for you. You made a series of bad choices today.
Yeah, I did. Bradley has a good choice. Battlestar Galactica. That I don't own it, but that is a game that not a lot of people trade once they have it in their collection, unless they just don't like it. Dan said New Bedford's great, and I helped him get those corrected tiles because he bought it. And there was an error in the first printing that we had to fix, so he took care of that.
So let's just make it clear. Just like a football game that comes down to the critical play, you actually made a set of errors earlier in the game that could have led to a different result. Much like the Saints game.
Yeah, don't go there.
It's a choice you made right before halftime. It's a choice. It was a 3rd and 1 in the third quarter. You know.
So, hey, I am curious though. What is the game in your collection that fits this category in quarter 4? Games that spark joy and you'll never give away. You're always going to be in your collection.
I will never give Made in China away.
Yeah,
ever.
I figured that.
Ever.
I figure you talk about it a lot. All right, so
it is the ultimate game, man.
Final score: BJ with 3 points, Steve with 17, and she wins by a field goal. Verla from the Gateway and Filler Games Group. Verla LeBaron is the champion on the first annual Boudin Bowl. Congratulations, Verla. Verla, have you ever had Boudin? Have you ever tried Boudin?
No, I don't even know what it is.
Okay. Well, next time in your Louisiana, I'll get you some Boudin. You can try it. For you, it'll be the Boycott Bowl, but it's the Boudin Bowl, and Verla is the big champion. She's got 20 points for the big win. Verla, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Jeremy and I have some more games to talk about, but man, thank you for coming on, and we love your comments and your contributions on the Gateway games.
Thanks. Yeah. Appreciate it. Have fun, guys.
All right.
Hey, take care.
How was that, Jeremy? Wasn't that fun?
Yeah, it was. It was fun. Man, you were terrible.
Yeah, I got 6 points. I did get a field goal. That's right. I got 6 points. Fix that, Steve. I was pretty bad. Wait, yeah, because I got 2. No, wait. I only got 3 points. I got the. Did I get who got the field goal in quarter 4? I did not get it. Nope. That's right, Steve. I only got 3 points. It's just 3 points. I did not get 6. All right, back to some of those games, and then I'm going to let you go. There was another game that you had wanted to talk about. BJ from More Game Gumbo. I've got my guest here, Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. And Jeremy, you and I both like a game from Stronghold Games. I think you like it as much as I do because I've played it a ton. It's one of my wife's. It's probably her favorite game from 2018. Let me see if I can get a picture of it. Oh, where is it?
Hey, you know what? Do you have okay. All right.
Which one are you thinking of?
I was gonna say, is this the last one we're gonna talk about?
Yeah, we could talk about this in the last one. I don't have a picture of Spring Meadow, so you want to move? You want to talk about something else?
That one and another one. I really, oh my god, I want to show you this game. All right.
Yeah, let's go to it. What you got?
Okay, so I have the King's Guild. I'm gonna do a quick two-piece here. Okay, so we have the King's Guild. It is one of my favorite games. So this is what I call Splendor Plus. It is Splendor Plus, like the Euro game. Okay, like kind of like a Euro game. So what you're looking at here is the king. You are guilds, and you get a guild board. You get like this little board right here, and you put tiles on this board. You're going to recruit tiles that give you room for like these little people right here, and these people trigger powers and different things like that. What are you doing? Just like in Splinter, you're grabbing resources, and then you're taking them over to these quests. Now, the quest cards that you see kind of to the right of that box over there, what you're doing is you're paying the resources that you pick up, and you're giving them to that person. So when you give them to that person, you put your little flag on there on one side of it, because some of them are two-sided. So some of them are two-sided and some of them are one-sided. And when here goes one. Sorry. Some of them are two-sided. And then when you do one side, you get the reward for that one side. And then when you do the other side, you get to choose between these two rewards. And when you get the treasures, they add to set collection, more coins, more powers, and things like that. What you're doing is everything's kind of on an assembly line with the cards that you're buying for these quest people, but you're also set collecting for some of the buildings and in-game scoring things that are going along. At some point in the game, there's going to be a middle point where the king's statue comes by, and then you bid for the king statue, which gives you 7 points, and then you're going to keep going again until you get to the end of the game where you have like a little last action, and you can sacrifice your last action to kind of do this little part right here and gain some more points. But it's a very straightforward game. You're buying these little spots here and putting your people in here. They got like this one right here is a tavern. You get points per people you have. You get this one right here. Sorry. You have these right here where you put your little guys in here and you add them to your board. You put tiles on your board, and they kind of have like little spots that give you extra resources and coins and things like that. So it's got a lot going on. It's got your player area where you're building kind of a little thing, and then you got your engine that you're kind of building to get these specific quests and people, because they add to like your little set collections and stuff like that when you recruit them and finish these things. Just a really clean game, and I really, really like this game. I know it's going to be low-key. I know it's going to be under the radar, but this game needs some love, and it shows it's one of those games that needs an expansion. It definitely does, to give it more weight to it, because I could see people saying like it's too light. But this is one of those games where I feel like Splendor is kind of like getting outdated to me, but the idea of Splendor is great. Yeah. So this is that one. Like, this is another game that says, hey, we can move on. Like Majesty for the Realm is like, yes, we can move on. Like certain games are just like, we can move on. But this was because of Splendor, here we are. So I feel like this is that one of those games. It's just like, hey, we can move on now. Like, so.
I actually don't know a lot about this game. Who published this game?
Mirror Box Games. It is. This is Matthew Austin. I met him at PAX. I did a short video for him. You can find it on my site as well on Jambalaya Plays Games on the YouTube. I interviewed him at PAX. Wonderful guy. Small publisher. I'm sure he's got something else up his sleeve, because people really like the game. I haven't met anybody who doesn't like it. They may just think it's like it's too light or whatever. And I agree with that. It's light. It's got a solo mode. It's a card burning mechanic where just kind of like those cards, the quest cards, kind of just keep going off. And it plays up to 6 players, man. Like,
wow.
Yeah. So it's
easy to teach, relatively short game, under an hour, plays up to 6 players. It looks like it has some pretty cool art too.
Man, yeah, it's cool art, man. It's just a really clean game. The cards, good quality, stuff like that. That's that one. Here's my other one. Racoon Tycoon, man. Now you want to talk about production, Lord. Racoon Tycoon is absolutely amazing. So here we are. I'm on the show today talking about all these really good gateway games, right? And this one right here is probably, I think, could have potentially be a classic family game. And I hope it is, because it deserves every bit of it. So like, if you don't know Forbidden Games, they make kind of like gateway-ish games that have the concepts of like 18xx, Tycoon type games, things like that. Well, this one is the very gateway version of it that everybody can learn. Very gateway version. So
I'm always looking for an entry in that kind of game, and Racoon Tycoon has got that economic element that we can learn from.
Yeah. So you got the regular commodities, the coals, the whatever, right there, right? So you place these, you produce these. You can take 3 of them. You can take a total of 3 of them. You take those, you get those resources, and then these go up. Okay, so then the production of those goes up, and they go up that track that you see up there. The commodities go up, or you can sell them. Like you can decide to sell them, and then you sell them, and the stock goes down for how much whatever you sold of the stock. Eventually, what you're trying to do is you're buying. You're going to be buying these little upgrade tiles that give you different ways of scoring points. And gathering things, and these really ramp up your engine. This is where the money starts flying in. You start getting a combo of these spiking up and down and things like that. And then they even have base ones where you can upgrade it. And then what you're really trying to do is buy these little railroad cards. And by the way, just look at these. Look at the art on this stuff, man. They're really cute, really well designed. And what you're trying to do is you actually have auctions for these cards. So now you're betting this big money, and you're having this big auction across the board. And whoever wins these, they get these cards. And this is just part of a set collection that you have. So however many of these you have, and there's a total of 6 of these cards. So if you get 4 of them, you get this amount of points combined. And then you also have these where you can turn in resources. These are towns. You turn in a certain amount of resources, and these increase in value, and you can get this card. And what you do is everyone at the end of the game, if these are attached to this card, you get a bonus as well. So you get 5 points plus 2 if it's attached to a card. And it's that simple. It is so simple. And it plays in like 1 hour. This is one of those ones, man. I broke this out at a local con, and like people were like, "Are you kidding me?" By the way, just look at this big old Racoon first player token. You get nice components, man. I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with this game. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this game.
You sold me, man. Racoon Tycoon looks really good.
Hey, by the way, you know how when they say get rid of paper money? It's got this thick kind of like. I love this money. Like when you hold it, it feels like the good money, the good toy money. So yeah, really high quality design. I'm just going to show you a couple more of these beautiful cards. But yeah, these are some beautiful cards, man. They have the bears. Here's a raccoon. Here you go. Here's a raccoon, people. Yeah, really pretty, man. Just look at this fat cat. So yeah, it's just a really
so cool artwork, and it's got an introduction to economic, and that's Racoon Tycoon. Who's it published by?
Yeah, this is published by Forbidden Games, and they have Railroad Tycoon that's coming back to Kickstarter. Sure. I suggest you take a look at that one. That's kind of like a very light 18xx. It just shows you the principles of 18xx. That's a really smart design too. So Forbidden Games, watch out for them.
Hey, we had one more game on the list. Let's see if we can get to it. BJ from Board Game Gumbo here. I've got my guest Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games, and you and I both wanted to talk about a game that we played a lot. It's one of probably my wife's favorite game of last year, and that's Spring Meadow from Stronghold Games. Part of that trilogy of games that Uwe has been exploring with the polyominoes. Have you got a chance to talk about Spring Meadow lately? So
I have not. So I played Spring Meadow. I got it, and I immediately played it for the entire weekend. Mm-hmm. I turned on some music, and I played for the entire weekend.
What I like about it is that my wife and I can play, and to give a quick explanation, it's got the elements of, patchwork and cottage garden, all those. But out of the 3, to me, it's got the most, and I'm talking about Indian Summer and Cottage Garden and Spring Meadow. Yeah. To me, it's got the most unique part. It plays in maybe 20 minutes. It's kind of a race game as opposed to the other ones, where you're trying to be the first one to win 2 out of 3 matches, sort of almost like a mini tennis match. But it's got this, you want to say engine building, but it's got this point building mechanic where you're really trying to fit the polyominoes to give yourself a chance to really score in that 3rd round. Sometimes in the 1st round, you may not even score points for a reason because you're setting yourself up for rounds 2 and 3.
Yeah, I found that the game. First of all, I want to say, like, the best way to describe it for me, at least, it's a very zen game. Like,
good point.
Yes, it's puzzly and whatnot, but like you could actually have like a conversation, like straight up just have coffee, conversation, and play the game. Like, like it's like, hey, the biggest hold on moment, you may just like, hey, hold on a second, I want to have another drink of my coffee. Hold on a second, I'm just.
That's right. It's a chill game.
It's such a chill game, and that doesn't take away from the fact that it is strategic and it is a puzzle. And I just like the little like the peekaboo thing with the what are the Merle things. I like that's just added in there, something else to think about. Because at first I was like, man, this may be too simple. And yeah, I really like. I hadn't played the other ones. I hadn't played any of these other ones that were in the series. When Steven handed me this game, I was just like, I'll try it. I'm an Uwe fan, but I just wasn't sure about this series of games. Now I may go back to the other ones because this one right here seems like a very strong ending. It has a really good solo game where you basically go through the tile sets and you get the 4 boards and they're not the same, right?
Right.
So here's the kick. When you play through that, you don't use the same tiles again. So the tiles that you use, because you randomly draft was it 25 tiles, you put them on there?
Yeah, 25, 5x5 grid.
Yeah. You don't use those again. So they come out of the game, They're out of the box. Okay. So now you're gonna do 4 games, 4 different sets of tiles, and add up all your scores and get to 600. It is absolutely ridiculous. Now, see, that's the thing. Total Zen experience, right? Get to the 3rd game, and you're like, ooh, I need to look in this box.
You start sweating a little bit. Yeah. Forget that Zen.
You're not just like, there's no pre-selected. So it's like, ooh, now I'm digging in here. I got 2 more games to go, and I'm not seeing some of the pieces I need, and that was a big point for me. I was like, I need to, wow, I definitely want to talk about this game. So, yeah. So it was a Green Hands game.
Yeah, so with my wife and I, it's the same thing you said. The first 2 games are always breezy. We're kind of talking, and it's usually one of those things where she's really busy with schoolwork or something. I only have about 30 minutes to play a game. This one I can set up, have waiting for. First 2 games are easy, but that 3rd one, that's when we're eyeballing each other and it gets competitive.
It's intense. Yeah, I like it. It just, yeah, that's the type of game. I know that we have, a need to play the games that are like, hey, this is too light, or hey, this is too heavy, or whatever. But like, I really do enjoy and appreciate games that get more people to the table. And like, let's say if you're about to start a game and they go, oh man, I don't want to interrupt. I don't want to come in. I can explain this game. They could sit down and they'll get it in like 1 or 2 turns and still be in it and still could win the game. I want games like that in my collection. I want most of my games to be like that. And that's not just because like I don't, I want a whole bunch of gateway games. I want games that like this one does go up a notch because you still have to plan it out and you still have to get that scoring together. But yeah, this is just has a really good range to it. Definitely recommend this one.
So we didn't talk about 630 games in 60 minutes, but Jeremy, we talked about a lot of games today. You always bring it, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thanks a lot for having me on, man. I really enjoy this. Of course, you let me talk about games for an hour. What are you talking about? You let me do the talking. I love it. You're my only child, man. I love it.
You are one of the most requested guests out there. All right, board gamers, that is it for another episode of Gumbo Live. I want to thank Jeremy from Jambalaya Plays Games. Hey, how can people reach you? How can they find you out there?
Oh, Lord. I'm a little bit everywhere, so I'll just kind of go quick here. JambalayaPlaysGames.com, which I'm working on changing that whole site up. So it's kind of done. It's kind of dead right now. I'm really working on trying to add some things, add my videos. So now I have a YouTube page. It's got reviews. It's got interviews. It's got a ton of interviews, like almost like 60 or 70 on there. And then I have my video.
You got all those from Origins and PAX, I think it was, right?
PAX, yeah. And I'll be going to another place where I'll be a guest of honor in Iowa coming up, and I'll have a whole bunch of stuff from there.
Which con in Iowa?
It's a con. They found me in maybe the guest. The guest of, I don't know, whatever it is, like the guest of honor or something like that.
One of the Gumbo guys used to go to that one in up in Iowa. Wow, that sounds fun.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, I'm going in February 22nd. But I have my BGR content, which is on Board Game Revolution, a Facebook group. There's a YouTube page there. I post my stuff there as well. And then finally, I will have a BGR live show where I showcase multiple games just like this, 5 to 10 minute overviews. I show a ton of games. Publishers are really kind of me. They send me a ton of product, and it's pretty much infomercial city.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. Honestly,
Yeah, but you
it's
take
infomercial
questions, and it's a good little show. It used to be on Friday nights. Are you going to do it on Friday nights again, or what have you
Right.
decided?
Yeah, it's going to still be Friday nights. It's going to be about an hour and a half, and then and we'll just we'll talk games, and I'm looking to make it more interactive. So I got a ton to give away too. So we got a lot to give away now. So definitely really excited to bring that back. I'm so glad I got that talk through on that one too. So thank you so much. Make
sure to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/BoardGameGumbo. It helps us get the word out about all of our upcoming guests and shows, including Johnny Pack's going to be here next week. Johnny Pack Cotton. He's the designer of, designer of Coloma.
Yeah.
Is that a game you had that in your hands yet?
I'm hoping I got my hands on that one. There was a lot of confusion with Final Frontier, but I probably will at some point in the campaign because sometimes I get things in the middle. But yeah, that one's going to be really cool, man. This month's got a lot of good Kickstarters, man.
Can't wait to talk to Johnny Pack because Coloma looks really. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it looks really cool.
No, it looks really good. I'm like, Johnny, man, please, I want to see this game. I want to
come check out the show next week, and you'll have some questions for him. So, I am BJ from Board Game Gumbo, and until next time, Jeremy, laissez le bon temps rouler.
Hey, party people, thank you so much for having me. Take care.